Uh, this is a spontaneous live. We planned it a little bit, but decided to do it together with Nathaly from an English language school in Spain, and we want to speak about writing, teaching writing to children, and teaching writing and writing our experience about writing at our schools. So we will be speaking about everything connected to writing. I'm waiting for her. I think she will join in a moment. Hello, Karina. How are you doing? How is your writing club? I've been talking to many teachers, and they say that they prefer to teach some fun activities, some games, and but not writing. So today we are going to discuss with Nathaly also this point. I'm going to invite Nathaly now. I'm sending you a request to join. Yes, I see, Karina, you're on a summer break. I'm sending you an invitation. Nathaly, look here and there and see my invitation to join me. One moment. Or you send me a request to join. Try to send me a request to join. Yeah, try to find it. Because I'm sending, I don't know why you can't see it. Go live with Nathaly. I'm pressing it. Let's see. Yes, I see your request. Now we can do it. Let's see if Nathaly can join me.
There you go. We got it.
Yes, hello. Hello to
Hello.
Spain.
Hello from Vienna. No, to Vienna, no?
To Vienna, yeah, to Vienna. And today we are speaking with Nathaly about writing, about our experience when we were school children, and about teaching writing. And Nathaly is the founder of a school, of the English language school for children. Can you tell us a little bit about your school?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's still kind of on the making, but I think overall I have the idea of what my school is, which is called Sapiens Lair. And the purpose of my school, apart from teaching English, is to integrate life tools for children and teenagers and adults in any phase of life, no? To learn how to manage emotions, how to create smart objectives, mindfulness, and for the kids, I have an entrepreneurship program. So that one is new, but I'm seeing really good results with it. So I'm very happy.
Yes, I think everything that you've mentioned is so important to teach at young age, because sooner or later we all come to this, like how to live mindfully, how to cope with emotions, and how to be an entrepreneur. So I think that the sooner we teach this or show this, how to do it, the better for children.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and today our topic is writing. So, can you speak about your experience with writing at your school?
Mhm.
What did you write?
At my school when I was younger, right? You're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at a young age, I have to be honest, I was not a top kid in school. I was one of those kids that was always lost, and I had a hard time learning. So writing for
Oh.
me was never, it wasn't my best subject. Actually, English, well, I was raised in the US, so I had to learn how to write in English, but it wasn't my best subject, and I would always get nervous to go into that class because every time they would talk about grammar, about reading, I would just get really nervous and just block myself out, you know? So that's my experience as a child. Now, as I got older, obviously I learned the importance now to read. But I think
Mm-hmm.
in the traditional education, um, every kid needs to learn one way. And I think that is the most difficult thing to do, especially for kids, because not all kids learn the same way. So I think that was my problem. You know, I didn't have the tools and I didn't have the teachers with that knowledge to be like, oh, you know, maybe she has a different spectrum of learning. Maybe we should try another way. No, we had to do it their way, and then that's it. Either you're good or you're not. So writing for me,
Yeah, 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 but I think it goes like in a natural way, with a natural evolution of education, that it was like the first step yet to bring all children to school and to give them like at least basic education, and they were trying their best. And what you mentioned about your writing difficulties, I think that you are not an exception, right? That
right?
many children struggle with writing, and it is harder than reading, and reading is harder than simply speaking. Um, yeah, and we need to do something with it to find an approach, right?
Yes, definitely. And I think this is why I actually found your method interesting and intriguing because I'm always looking for better ways to teach my students
Mm-hmm.
a better way, a methodology that makes sense, that has a process, and that doesn't push different types of
Yeah,
learners. You know, it's good for everybody,
yeah.
and then it all has a process. So that is why I actually founded your Smart Story Space. And obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you've already worked with my kids. And with what I'm already teaching, which is emotional management, I also
Mm-hmm.
saw something deeper with your method because with what I'm teaching is you have emotions, okay?
Yeah.
And they're okay. Emotions are okay because they're telling you something about you. So when I
Yeah.
saw my kids in the process of like frustration of like I can't think or I have to think, you know, they
Mm-hmm.
would get frustrated, they would start crying, but then they still like saw how to do it. You know, they still found an idea, whether it's small or
Mm-hmm.
big, it didn't matter. So then when they
Mm-hmm.
saw the end result, you know, they were really happy about it. And so that like
Yeah.
boosted,
Yes.
yeah, it boosted
Yes.
their
I
motivation.
think. Yeah, I think that I've managed to put it into very basic step-by-step
Hmm.
approach or method, and that's why it makes easier for children and for everybody, for adults also, because when we know a structure, when we know like which step we need to make, then you are not scared, right? And this is, I think, this is the problem of our education, like at some schools, Yeah, not at all schools, but they don't give like a very clear structure. It was I think that in the Western education, maybe I imagine that they give more of it, but in post-Soviet countries, we just had a very general outline, like introduction, main part, conclusion. That's it. But no
Yeah.
steps. I mean, when we were writing essays, we were not given like very simple steps that you could follow. And then even those children who have struggles, I think they could manage it too.
Yeah, definitely. I would have to say the same thing. Even though, as you mentioned, in the Western part of the world, these types of methods or tools are like big cities are starting to input them into their schools. So it makes it easier, no? It makes it easier and more motivating, more than easier, no? Because I think that is what, for example, in my case, you give me a book and I have to write a summary about this book. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, like, how do I write a summary? You know, like,
Yeah,
how do I
yes,
do that
yes, same
summary? Like, is
question.
it really that simple? And it actually is. Once you see the steps, you're like, oh, well, it wasn't that difficult. But um, I
Yeah,
think,
exactly. When you see a plan, when you see something that directs you, then
mhm,
it is not. But when it is like write something, then
you're like, what?
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
think it's with everything in life. Actually, this is something I was reflecting on, is that when we are younger, we are like people or the older people expect so much of us as kids, you should already know how to study, you should already know how to do this, you should already,
Mm.
but really it's like, why should they know if they've never seen the process, if they've never actually seen a book about it? Why should they know?
Yeah.
Not everything is with instincts, some things you actually, or some kids need to see
Mm-hmm.
those step by step structures, um, to have a better ability in whatever they want to do.
Yeah, yeah. Or another problem could be that we have these plans, not plans, but structures, and that we need only to write according to this structure. It was at our school, at my school, that you need to keep this structure and use like critics, literary critics' opinions. But I think that there was very little for writing, for self-expression, for like free writing, creative writing, just to write your opinions. Of course, maybe it is somewhere, it was in a writing club, I don't remember it, but I think that it should be available for all children, and the more they try it to write, to express themselves, like writing is a tool to express your thoughts, the better they understand themselves and the better they understand how they learn,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I think that was one of like um my limit points, because I used to write poetry when I was younger. So then,
Mm.
when I was in a poetry class, they would say, "Well, write a poem, no?" And I would write a poem like the way it came to me naturally.
Mhm.
And they would criticize it. No, it's written wrong. You have to do this and you have to do that. I'm like, well, then what is a poem? Isn't a this Didn't poems start that way, with the way you feel and the rhyming? And now if you go into specific, like, let's write a haiku poem, then
Mhm.
you know the structure of a haiku poem, no? And then you say,
Yeah.
okay, I know how to write a haiku poem, I'll write a haiku poem. But if you say, okay, you write a poem the way it comes to you, but then you criticize it and you tell me it's wrong, how could something be wrong if it comes within?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Especially poems. Yeah, poems, they are expression of our feelings. Then it's Yeah, I think we shouldn't criticize children if they write something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So,
Mm.
so I think in writing, as one of the points that you wanted to mention is how does it help, right? How does writing help us?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
How does it help us? Because I think some parents don't think that it is important to write a story, to write something. Yeah, grammar is important, spelling is important, but like writing, this whole aspect is not really important. I think they are underestimated. What do you think?
yes, I believe so too, and I do believe in the power of words as well. So when you actually write something down on paper, not only are you putting into practice that grammar that you're looking at, but you're putting yourself on a paper where you have to later read it and
Mm-hmm.
reconstruct or correct it, or so you're putting in a lot of different ways of learning something, but more emotionally, because if you're writing something about you like you're doing with your method, you're writing your own adventure. So you're not just
Yeah.
writing about you, you're writing it, but then you are exposing yourself to, okay, is this really written correctly? Like, where do I need to correct it? Now, this is where I use my um, the education I've got at school in grammar, and this is where I put it into practice, but in a more practical way. This is about me now, so I want it to be perfect. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a better way, a more imaginative way to what would be the word, to motivate that eagerness to learn how to express yourself and about you or about anything.
Yes, yes, of course, whatever we created is like part of us. And of course, now when you said this, it is also like boosting your self-confidence a
Exactly.
lot. Yeah. When you will have, like at the end of my course, when children have to present their book, yeah, to show like this is my work, I wrote a book. And first, they need to overcome this fear and
Exactly.
to be more confident. But after that, it also gives them like a feeling of self-accomplishment.
Exactly.
Like it gives them very nice, I think, feeling of achievement.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. With my kids, at least, that's how they felt at the end. And then it was wonderful to hear their experience, no? They're like, oh my God, I thought I was going to fail and I thought I was going to be horrible and I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. And then you have them reflect on, okay, so but how do you feel now? Once you read your story, what do you think about it? It's great. I'm so happy. I see that that I have to just keep trying, and that I have somebody that's helping me through the process. So that made me feel comfortable. To have them like hear that expressions, and you're like, good. So then this had a successful story, or yeah, successful story on the method. So I thought that was amazing myself. Yeah,
Yes, yes. So it is, we need to teach and to give children these opportunities, yeah, to write more, so they learn more about themselves, they boost their confidence,
exactly.
but also they learn to write cohesively, like their thoughts, which they will need, even if they will not be writers, but they will have to write their cover letters, their CVs,
Exactly.
and nowadays, like when we use the social media, our every post is a writing experience. So
Exactly.
I think we underestimate like writing, because sometimes you need to write like a persuasive email, yeah, to persuade somebody to do something, or an application. There are a lot of things we need actually to be able to write well.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, and also it is. I wanted to mention that it helps to with concentration. Yeah, and slowing down, because there are a lot of activities like games and fun and maybe games on the mobile phone. But when you write, you need to make a sentence, yeah, to express a thought. So you have to put everything aside before you put it on paper.
Exactly. You need to think about it, no? To make sure that it makes sense what you're writing and what you're trying to communicate.
Yes, yes. So you learn to concentrate and to think longer, because nowadays, as I've read somewhere, our attention is constantly hacked. Like everybody fights for our attention.
Yeah, but not
Some
only that,
notifications. Yeah.
I believe that we also miss one factor is that children, because they're still like their brain is still growing, okay? Their
Yeah,
attention
yeah.
span is very short. So it's not
Yes.
that they
Yeah.
don't know how or that they don't have the capacity to, is that they're still learning how to do it. So it's like a way to help them stop and see what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, go get into themselves. So this is mindfulness. I mean, mindfulness is not just sitting there and saying, "Oh." Mindfulness is that, is going inside of you and thinking and just thinking about that one thing that you have to do. So in this case, which
Mm-hmm.
is writing, is that, no, like, okay, what do I have to write? What adventure do I have to talk about? What have I lived? What emotions was I feeling? How did my body feel? What was around me?
Mm-hmm.
So you're like expanding that. So it
Yeah, reflection, a lot of
exactly.
reflection.
Uh-huh. And they love it, and they love
Mhm.
talking about it. Apart from that, because they go back and they feel everything again. You know, and that's what's wonderful about
Yes,
memories.
yes, yeah,
Hmm. It helps you like
yeah.
feel everything as if you were there still. So
Hmm.
definitely, it's definitely a very creative way to integrate writing for children.
Yeah, writing is a tool to learn a lot about
Yeah.
yourself, yeah, and to train yourself to concentrate and to express. Yeah, and what do you think about how can we make it even more attractive, and how can we engage children to write more?
Um, well, as you have already mentioned, is when you're talking about them, when they know that it's about them, that they're the protagonist of their own story, um, it engages them more because
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes I
yeah.
believe like
Yes.
when can you write about this person? And they're like, ugh, like I don't want to write about him. But I want to tell you everything about me because that's how we are, we like to feed our ego. So I think that's a great way to engage them. And well, I've seen it with your course. It's a wonderful way to
Yes,
talk.
yes. This is
Hmm.
one of my principle, that they should be really passionate about the topic, about themselves, what happened really to them, or maybe usually they write about themselves. But if they want, they can write just about something they really love. And
Exactly.
yeah, at the course they find this topic. Maybe these are mermaids or
Ex-
some other creatures. But when the topic is, when it is their favorite topic, then they are open to do anything.
Anything exactly. And even though there are different topics, it's still about them because it's their
Yes.
interest. So it goes together.
Yeah, yes, yes. And another point is when we know what to do, when we know these basic steps and this clarity, then we are not afraid and there is more enthusiasm, right? Like when we
Exactly.
give this to children, when we show and guide. Um,
I think what I find important and what I've noticed with teaching is that no matter what you do, everything has a process. And what happens like when you're a kid, especially with parents that always give their kids everything, you know, they cry, you give them something. They don't let
Yeah.
them like have a process of, okay, you know, right now is not the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
let's wait a
Mm-hmm.
couple of minutes and then we'll do the next thing. And with writing, you're creating that. The like, it's okay for you to feel frustrated because you can't do something, but you're going through a process. And so you have to go through the whole
Mm-hmm.
process for you to understand this and for you to see the final result. And life is like that. You know, you don't
Yeah.
go,
Yes.
things are
Yes.
not easy. Sometimes you're struggling, you know, and we're struggling and we don't know what to do and we get frustrated, but we don't stop. You know, we look for solutions,
Yeah.
we look for other things to do. So I think writing is this process, you know, of like real life, like of emotions that you go through, but with uh if you don't stop doing it, you finally have your results and they're good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yes, it teaches you that you can't have immediate results, right? And usually it is like this. I don't believe in immediate results. No,
No.
you need
Even if I did,
to
I think
work
life
for
has
it.
taught me not, that it's not that way.
Yes, yes, you can have
Yeah,
immediate results, but when you've made some preparation, you've made something, and
exactly.
then yeah, you can get it. But without, no.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So I think we covered some points. Yeah, how we can make children more enthusiastic about writing, and that teachers can use. Yeah, that the topics should be really, they should be really passionate about the topics. It makes them enthusiastic, and we should give them clear structure, what to do, and also support, yeah, support in this process as you do.
Exactly. That emotional support is so important. Just like
Mm-hmm.
just like our great what's his name? Jim Quick, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um I just love reading him and I'm reading over his book Limitless, and he just talks about this process a lot, you know, how the emotions are so important in everything we do to actually, you know, integrate what we're learning and not just something that you learn, you have an exam and then you forget. You know,
Mm-hmm.
having
Mm-hmm.
emotions in what you're doing, you feel it more and you take it with you forever. So,
Yeah, yeah, and yes, it's also a good point to mention that that when we are too stressed, yeah, or when a teacher is angry and pushing, I think it doesn't do any
it,
good.
it
So I
does.
always create like a friendly atmosphere and relaxed, so they can feel free. And I believe that in this atmosphere they can learn. And I read it in one book
Yeah,
or heard, or I don't know where I got it, that our mind should be relaxed to absorb information, right?
yes,
Yes,
definitely.
all right. So thank you for this conversation,
And thank you for
and
inviting
we
me
will,
on your space.
yes, yeah. And I hope that your students will write beautiful stories, and I'm also excited when they do it with my course to
Yes.
know the result and to know the process.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited too to integrate and to collaborate with you with my children because I have a lot of fun with them too. So thank you so much, Irina, for your ideas and for your entrepreneurship. It's great. I love it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Natalie, and good luck with your school.
Thank you.
And talk to you soon.
Okay.
And have a good evening.
Likewise. Bye.
Yeah, bye bye. Bye bye. I'm finishing the live.